So for my international version of Sesame Street, I did Sesame Square, which is a Nigerian version that started recently. It was actually launched early January, and it is scheduled to have 3 seasons. And in comparison with the original Sesame Street, they had original Muppets, two of them. Their names were Zobi, who was the yam monster. It's supposed to be like the parallel of Cookie Monster, and I think it's funny because yam, it's a commonly eaten food in Nigeria or in Africa in general. So like I know some people have like obsessions with yam, so I thought it was funny because Zobi does have an obsession. The other character is Cammy, and she's actually HIV positive, and that ties into the reading and how it talked about how they're like unique characters which will like promote the goals of what is relevant to each show's culture. And so one of the initiatives was to educate kids on malaria prevention and to promote Nigerian unity and to remove the stigma of being HIV positive. Some other similarities were they taught kids to be able to recognize emotions. Zobi was actually really sad, and Cami recognized that, and he was sad because he had never had a birthday. And so one of the lessons throughout the whole episode, it was the theme, and actually it was the word of the day. Birthday was the word of the day. So they taught you the definition of birthday, and like in each segment, like it had something related to birthdays. Like that was the whole idea for Elmo's world, and it was Dorothy's birthday. So yeah, he was really sad. So Cammy was able to recognize that, and in the end, they actually had a surprise party for that. So that was another emotion. Other similar things to the American version were the letter of the day, which was D, and the number of the day, which was 4. One other similar goal between both versions was pushing like pro-social ideas in terms of friendship. Cami really like cared about Zobi being sad, and she wanted to make him happy. So because he didn't have a birthday and stuff, she decided to go and find a way. Like she went and got an advice from her uncle, and like she found a way to get him a birthday party. Also teamwork. Bert and Ernie had their journey thing, which is the same. They had the same exact like theme song with the original versions, but the characters are different in terms of their voices. So they're speaking in English, but they have Nigerian accents. They use teamwork to help find Rubber Ducky, and the emotion of love was like referred to when Ernie saw the gopher and he told him like, "Oh, you're a dad, so you should understand like the concept of love." And so he used that to persuade the gopher to help him find Rubber Ducky. Another similar goal was sharing for the benefit of others. Elmo's World was basically the same platform as the original, except for obviously the accent. Everything else was similar. In terms of differences, the theme song, they had a completely original and long theme song. The lyrics and everything was original, and they also had drums in the music. Global Grover, which I think was strategic, like the place they chose for him to go with, because it's like in Africa. They taught the kids about the culture of Egyptians and the food and stuff. Online, when I did my research, they did say that they tried to promote Nigerian unity through the representation of diverse groups that make up the country. But I didn't, in the episode I watched, probably I didn't see that much diversity. Mostly, like almost all the kids were African, but I don't think that cultural diversity was so emphasized as it is in in Sesame Street. That kind of goes into the next question about why I think the international version looks the way it looks. It's mostly the Nigerian Muppets and speakers and stuff, but they still combine some American proponents that was still culturally relevant to kids' education. But for the Nigerian portions, it was different because it was like the traditional Nigerian villages, and that's something that the kids watching can relate to. So, I mean, like I was saying earlier, it draws back into the reading and how the producers were intentional about the cast and the activities and situations that they put in the show because they wanted it to meaningfully reflect the lives of the program's viewers. So that kind of explains why I think it looked different. Apart from the lessons that I already explained during the similarities and differences, I also learned about counting. They counted like the number of candles on a cake with Elmo. I also learned that dolphins start with the letter D, but I think that a lot of the lessons were very pro-social, and um, in terms of how it would differ from the American version, the academics and stuff, probably not. And probably also some of the pro-social lessons, like being a good friend, you know, when you see your friend is down and stuff, it's kind of more of a universal lesson. But one lesson that I thought was particular to, you know, the Nigerian culture, which actually was the lesson throughout from the beginning, from the very beginning to the end, with the whole storyline with Cozy and Cammy and trying to help him with his birthday thing was, and that's what the uncle giving Cammy advice actually said. He was like, oh, I know a ton of people, you know, a ton of lawyers who didn't know when their birthday was, and they actually created one. And so that lesson about, like, you know, being okay with not knowing your birthday and just creating one, that lesson I think is central to Nigeria because, I mean, things happen, and I think it's probably more common that, you know, someone coming up like who is like raised in poverty or so just might not know when their birthday was, and this could actually, you know, relate to them in that way. So that's what I think was the big lesson that would differ. Like, I don't think it would be meaningful if they did that in the American Sesame Street. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys.